The top of Daf Kuf Yud Aleph Amid Beis in Mesechet Kesubos. This is Kesubos Daf 111b. The Gemara is continuing with the advice that the brothers of Rabbah are giving Rabbah in a letter that they sent to him. She'ein bo smicha. If you're sitting down but you have nothing to lean on, amida sheyesh bo smicha nocha hemen. It's more pleasant to be standing up with something to lean on. Rashi over here says she'ein bo smicha kemo b'mitos o b'katadros yesh smicha b'safsalin v'kisos ein smicha. In other words, if you're in a bed or a couch or something like that, there's something to lean on. But if you're sitting on a bench, there's nothing to lean on to support yourself with. So in those situations, they're advising him it's better that you stand up with something to lean on rather than sit down with something that doesn't have support. V'chein amru, and similarly they said, meaning they added again to the letter, to the advice, they said the following: Yitzchak v'Shimon v'Oshia. Yitzchak and Shimon and Oshia amru davar echad. They all said the same thing, and what they said was as follows: Halachik Rabbi Yehuda bepredos. The halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to mules. The Tanya, as we learned in a brayso, Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yehuda says, Preda shetava, if a Preda wants to mate with a male, ein marvian oleha, lo sus v'lo chamor, you don't bring upon the mule a horse or a donkey, elamina, rather what you bring is another mule that is a male. Rashi over here explains, ein marvian oleha, lo sus v'lo chamor, you don't bring upon her a horse or a donkey. Mesaf golei, the reason is that Rabbi Yehuda has a doubt, ichoshen lezer ha'avi lo, are we concerned with the father parent or not? Meaning to say, hilkach, therefore, afilu hi bas chamor, let's say the mule is the daughter of a donkey, nekeva, which is female, meaning the female is a donkey, ein marvian oleh chamor, you're not allowed to take a chamor and have it mate with the mule. Why? Shemachoshen lezer ha'av, because maybe we should be concerned with the seed of the father. In other words, yes, it's true that this particular mule's mother is a chamor, or is a chamora, but maybe the father is not, or we know the father is not, and maybe we should be concerned with that, and it should be an issue of kilayim. V'nimtza marbia kilayim. It's going to turn out that you are mating animals in a form of kilayim. V'Rabbanan pligil, and now the Rabbanan argue on this. They argue on Rabbi Yehuda, v'yamri, and they say, "Ein choshen lezerav." We're not concerned with the parent, the lineage of the father, so to speak. V'im bas susyahi, and therefore, let's say, for example, this mule is the daughter of a horse. Marvin olasos, then you can bring a horse, and that's fine. V'im bas chamorahi, and if it's the daughter of a chamor, of a donkey, marvin ola chamor, then you can bring a chamor, and then you can bring a donkey. In other words, according to the Rabbanan, we only care about the mule's mother. Whatever the mule's mother is, you can mate that mule with the same type as the mother, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, no, we're concerned with both, and therefore you have to only mate the female mule with a mule. All of this is explained in Mesechet Chulin. In any case, the point over here is that Rabbi Yehuda says this statement that by a preda, by a mule, you only mate it with another mule, and Yitzchak and Shimon and Oshia, they say the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. And the Gemara now explains further. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, Yitzchak zer Rabbi Yitzchak nafcha. When we say Yitzchak over here, that refers to Rabbi Yitzchak nafcha. Shimon zer Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi v'amri lo Reish Lakish. When we say Shimon, that refers to Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi. Some people say it refers to Reish Lakish, whose name was also Shimon. And Oshia, when we say Oshia, zer Rabbi Oshia baribi. This is the great Rabbi Oshia. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Lazar says, Amei ha'aratzos einon chayim. Amei ha'aratzos means to say people who are ignoramuses, they don't know things, they don't know Torah, they will not come back to life by tchias ha'mesim. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, mesim bal yichyu, they're dead and they won't come to life. It's a reference to the Amei ha'aretz. And the Gemara continues, Tanya nami hachu, we have a brayso that supports this as well. Mesim bal yichyu, it says mesim, they're not going to come back to life. Yachol akol, I might think it's for everybody. Talmud loma rifoyim bal yakumu. So it says in the pasuk, the Rephaim, they're not going to come back up. They're not going to rise. What does the Rephaim refer to? We're talking about those who loosen themselves from learning Torah. The literal translation, Rephaim Bal Yakumu, refers to like the lifeless will not come back up. But here it refers to those who leave the learning of Torah aside. And the Gemara continues, Amar le Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan said to him, Lo nichol l'marayu di'amrit luhu hachi. Their master, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's not pleased that you said this about them. In other words, the idea that you're saying that an Amei Ha'aretz is not going to be part of Tchias HaMesim, Rabbi Yochanan did not like that idea. Because because when it says Rephaim Bal Yakumu, it's not talking about somebody who doesn't learn Torah. It's talking about somebody who serves Avodah Zarah. That's what it means when it says Rephaim Bal Yakumu. B'merapa atzmo la'avodas kochavim, he leaves aside HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he serves Avodah Zarah. And the Gemara continues, Amar Lei, so Rabbi Lazar said back to Rabbi Yochanan, Mikra Acher Ani Dorish. I'm actually darshing another pasuk. There's another pasuk that indicates this idea that Amei Haaretz are not going to be part of Techias HaMesim. D'chsiv, because the pasuk says, Ki tal oros talecha. It says that the dew of oros, the simple translation refers to the growth, that which is the vegetation that grows in the ground. That dew is your dew. Ve'eretz refoim tapil. And to the earth you will cast those who are slackers. And so the Gemara says, Kol HaMishtamish B'or Torah, the Gemara darshans, when it says Kital Oros, it means to say anybody who uses the light of the Torah, who learns the Torah, or Torah Mechayev, it's the light of the Torah that brings them to life. V'chol she'ein mishtamish b'or Torah, but anybody who does not learn, or does not use the light of Torah, ein or Torah Mechayehu, the light of Torah will not bring him to life. So again, Rabbi Lazar over here brought in another pasuk which supports this idea that the Amei Ha'arotzos ein on Chayim. And the Gemara says, Kevan dechazir to come at star. But then Rabbi Lazar saw that Rabbi Yochanan was bothered by this interpretation. Amar lei, so he said to him, Rabbi Lazar said to Rabbi Yochanan, Rebbe, my Rebbe, motzasi len takana. I have a solution for them, for these Amei Haaretz min Torah, from the Torah. It says that you're going to cling to Hashem. Is it possible to cling to the Shechina? But the pasuk says, it says that God is like a consuming fire. You can't cling to a fire. Rather, what the pasuk means is anybody who marries his daughter to a Talmud Chacham. Anyone who does business for Talmidei Chachamim. And anybody who allows Talmidei Chachamim to benefit from his property. The pasuk considers it as if he is clinging to the Shechina, so there is a solution for these Amei Haaretz in this fashion. And the Gemara continues, Kayotze badavar ata omer. Similarly, we find that it says, Li'avo es Hashem Elokecha, u'ledavka bo, to love Hashem and to cling to Him. V'chi'efshar lo'adam lidavik b'shchina. Is it possible to cling, for a person to cling to the Shechina? L'kol hamasi bitol l'talmid chacham, ve'osa pragmati l'talmidei chacham, ve'amahana talmidei chacham min achasav. Rather, it means anyone who marries his daughter to a Talmid Chacham and does business for Talmidei Chachamim and allows Talmidei Chachamim to benefit from his property. Malo olav hakasav ki'ilo medabek b'shchina. The pasuk considers it as if he is clinging to the Shechina. And the Gemara continues, Amar Mechia Bar Yosef, Mechia Bar Yosef says, Asidan tzadikim shemevatzvesen ve'olim b'Yerushalayim, in the future, the tzadikim will spring forth and come up in Yerushalayim, shenemar, like the pasuk says, Vayatzitzu me'ir ke'esav haaretz. They're going to spring forth like the grass of the land. They're going to spring forth from the city. Ve'ein ir el Yerushalayim. And when it says in the pasuk ir, city, it refers to Yerushalayim, shenemar, like the pasuk says, Veganosi Eloir azos. In that pasuk as well, the pasuk is talking about protecting, saving the city. It's talking about Yerushalayim. V'yamer Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef, and Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef says, Asidim tzadikim sheyamdu b'malbushein. In the future, the tzadikim, when they come to life, they're going to come up clothed, with their clothing on. Kal v'chomer mechita, that is a kal v'chomer. We learned that out from wheat. Ma'achita shenikbora aruma, just like by wheat, when it's buried in the earth, it's naked, it's not clothed. Yotza b'kam levushin, but it comes out and it's wearing many garments. So tzadikim shenikvru b'levushein, so tzadikim who are buried with their garments, alachas kama v'kama, certainly when they come up, they will also be wearing garments. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef, and Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef says, Asida Eretz Yisrael, Shatotzi gluskos uchlei milas. In the future, Eretz Yisrael is going to bring forth cakes and fine wool clothing. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, Yehi pisas bar ba'oretz. We're darshaning over here, pisas bar can be a reference again to the grain or the cakes, and also a reference to garments, like the word pisas could be a reference to the ksonas pasim. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabbanon, the rabbis taught, Yehei pisas bar ba'oretz, there should be this grain in the land, Barosh Haram, at the top of the mountains, Amru asida chita, shetesamer kedekel va'ola Barosh Haram. What it means to say is that in the future, a stalk of wheat is going to grow like a palm tree, grow high like a palm tree, and reach the tops of the mountains. V'shem hatomer yesh tzar lekotzerim. Now maybe you'll say it's going to be a pain, it's going to be difficult to harvest such wheat. Talmud Lomer, the pasuk says, Yirash kalavanon pirio, his fruit will rustle like Levanon. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mevi ruach. What it means is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring a wind mi beis genazav from his storehouse, and he's going to cause it to blow at the wheat, mashra silta, and that's going to cause its flour to come down. The Adam Yotze Lasada, the person will go out to the field, Umevi Mole Pisas Yado, and he's going to bring in his hand an amount of flour, Umimena Parnasasu, and from that amount of his hand's worth of flour, he'll be able to support himself, Uparnasas Adje Beso, and he'll be able to support the people of his family. And the Gemara continues, in Chaylev Kilyos Chita, that the wheat is going to be fat like kidneys. Amru, they said, Asida Chita Shetei Keshtei Kloyos Shel Shor Hagadol. In the future, the wheat is going to be as large as the two kidneys of a large ox. The Alta Tam, and don't be surprised by this. Sharei Shual Kan Belefes, because there was a fox that was nesting in a turnip, Vishaklu, and they weighed it. Umatzu Bo Shishim Litrin Belitra Shel Tzipore, and they found that it weighed 60 litrin according to the measurements of the litra of Tzipore. And the Gemara continues, Tanya, we learned in a Brais, Somer Rav Yosef says, Maisa b'shichin bi'echot sheiniach lo aviv, shlosha ba'dei chardal. There was an incident in Shichin where a person, his father left him 3 branches of mustard, v'nifshach echad mehen, and one of them broke, v'nimtzu bo tisha kav in chardal. It turned out there were 9 kav of chardal there, v'eitz of sicho bo sukas yotzrin. And they were able to use the wood as the schach for a sukkah of yotzrin, for a sukkah of artisans. And the Gemara continues at the Tudat. Some Rabbi Shimon ben Tachlifa, Rabbi Shimon ben Tachlifa says, Kalach shel kruv, there was a stalk of cabbage, hiniach lanu abba, that our father left us, vayinu olim v'yarden bo b'sulam, and we'd have to go up and down it using a ladder. That's how large it was. And the Gemara continues, V'dam einov tishte chomer, and from the blood of the grape you will drink wine. Amru, they said, Lo ka'olam hazeh ha'olam haba, like this world is not the next world. Ha'olam hazeh, in this world, yesh bo tzar livtzor, it's difficult to gather the grapes, v'lidroch, and to press the grapes. Ha'olam haba, but in olam haba, mevi anova achas bekaron, o besfina, a person's going to bring one grape in a wagon or in a ship, u'meinicha bezav beso, and he'll put it in the corner of his house, u'masapek heimenu, yipitos gadol, and he'll be able to use it to fill a large jug, v'eitza masik and tachas atavshil, in the wood from that grape is going to be enough to place under his fire for cooking. There's not going to be any grape that doesn't have 30 full jugs of wine. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, V'dam einov tishte chomer, and the Gemara understands, Al tikre chomer lechomer, don't read it as chomer, but rather chomer. Chomer is like a measurement, and then again that refers to the shloshim gar b'yayin, the 30 jugs of wine, which are each a saw, that's 30 saw of wine. And the Gemara continues, Ki osir Rav Dimi Yomar, when Rav Dimi came, he said, Mai dechsiv, what does the pasuk mean when it says, Osri lagefen iro, he binds the foal to the vine, meaning to say he binds the young horse to the vine. Ein lecha kol gefen v'gefen sheberetz Yisrael, there's not going to be a vine in Eretz Yisrael, shein sorech ayer achas livsor, that's not going to require a foal to help gather all of the grapes. And the pasuk goes on to say, V'lasoreka, and to the choice vine, B'ni Asona, will be the young donkey. And that means to say, Ein lach kol ilan srak sheberetz Yisrael, there's going to be no barren tree in Eretz Yisrael, she'eino motzi masoi shtei asonas, which does not produce enough to be carried by 2 young donkeys. V'shem Tomer, maybe you'll say ein bo yayin, that these grapes that it produces, they won't have wine. Talmud Lomar kibes bayayin levusho, it says no, they're going to launder his garments in the wine. V'shem Tomer eino edom, and maybe you'll say it's not going to be red wine. Talmud Lomar v'dam einov tishta chomer, talks about dam, blood, that it's going to be red wine. V'shemar tomer eino marven, maybe you're going to say it's not going to make a person drunk. Talmud Lomar suso, the pasuk says suso, that comes from the word like mesis, that it convinces somebody, it makes somebody inebriated. V'shem tomer ein botam, and maybe you'll say it doesn't have any taste. Talmud Lomar, the pasuk says chachlili einayim miyayin, and the Gemara darshans kol cheich shetoamo, every mouth that tastes this omer li, it says it's for me. So chachlili is an indication that it tastes good. V'shem tomer lanaorim yafa v'lazakenim eino yafa, maybe you'll say that it'll be good for young men, but it's not going to be good for older people. Talmud Lomar, the pasuk says uleven shinayim mecholav, that the teeth are going to be white. The teeth are going to be white from milk, but we understand it to mean al tikri leven shinayim, elo leven shonim. Don't read it as leven shinayim, but rather leven shonim. For the older person, it's going to be beneficial. And the Gemara continues, Pashte dekra b'maichsiv. What is the simple understanding of the pasuk? And the Gemara says, Ki aser Rav Dimi Yomar, when Rav Dimi came, he said, Amar Knesset Yisrael ifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Klal Yisrael said in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribbono shel olam, master of the world, Remoz beinecha devasim echavri, you should hint with your eyes a love that is sweet like wine. V'yachvi li shinayach, and show me your teeth, meaning show me your smile. Devasim echelba, sweeter than milk. And the Gemara continues, Messiah leil Rabbi Yochanan, the supports Rabbi Yochanan. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan said, Tov hamal ben shinayim lechaveru, it's better to show the white teeth to a friend, meaning it's better to smile to a friend, yoser mimashkei cholav, even more than giving him milk. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, uleven shinayim mecholav, it says to the teeth, more than milk. Al tikri leven shinayim, elo libun shinayim. Don't read it as leben shinayim, but rather libun shinayim, the whitening of the teeth, meaning to show the smile. And the Gemara continues, Rav Chia Barada mikri dardeke de Reish Lakish Haver. Rav Chia Barada, he was the teacher teacher of the children of Reish Lakish. Ifgar tlasa yumi, so he was delayed for 3 days and he did not come to teach. V'lo and he didn't come. Kiyasa, when he came, Amar Lei said to him, Amay Ifgarta, what delayed you? Amar Lei said to him, Dolis achas hiniach li abba, my father left me one branch of a grapevine, uvatzarti mimena yom rishon, and the first day I was able to gather from it gimul meos eshkolos, I was able to gather 300 clusters, eshkol legarav. Each cluster was enough to fill a jug. Yom sheni, on the second day, batzarti gimul meos eshkolos, I was able to gather 300 clusters, shtei eshkolos legarav. This time it was 2 clusters to fill a jug. Yom shlishi, on the third day, batzarti mimena gimul meos eshkolos, again I was able to gather 300 clusters, shalosh eshkolos legarav, it was 3 clusters for a garav, for a jug. V'hifkarti yoser mechetzi, and I had to make hefker more than half of it. It was so much that I couldn't even keep it all. Amar Lei said to me, Lav divgar tave'av d'tvei. If not for the fact that you delayed in coming, you would have had even more. The reason why you had so little was because you didn't come to teach. And the Gemara continues, Rami bar Yechezkel ikla livnei Brak. Rami bar Yechezkel went to Bnei Brak, chazinu lahanu easy, and he saw these goats, to ka'achlan tusei ta'eni, and they were grazing underneath a fig tree. V'kanativ duvja mita'eni, and there was honey that was dripping from the figs. V'chel b'tayef minayu, and there was milk that was dripping from the goats. U'miyari b'hadi adadi, and the honey and the milk was mixing together. Amar, and he said, Hainu zavas chalav u'devash. That's what it means, that Eretz Yisrael is a land that's flowing with milk and honey. Amar Rav Yaakov ben Dustoi milud laono shalosha mil, and Rav Yaakov ben Dustoi said, from lud to ono is 3 meal. Pam achas, one time, kidamti baneshev alachti ad karsulai bidvashel teinim. I woke up in the morning and I walked until my ankles was the honey of the figs. Amar Reish Lakish said, L'didi chazili zavas chalav udvashel tzipori. I myself saw the flowing of milk and honey of tzipori. V'have shitzar milan ashitzar milan, and it was an area of 16 mil by 16 mil. Amar Rabba bar bar Chana said, L'didi chazili zavas chalav udvashel kol Eretz Yisrael. I saw the flowing of milk and honey in all of Eretz Yisrael, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph.